So Kristen talked about the legal fight. She talked about the political fight in Congress. But let's talk about the White House strategy here. Is this 2016 all over again? Worked once, well, let's try it again.
2016 rebooted for 2020 for sure. I mean, immigration, the wall specifically, became the signature issue on which the president rallied the various coalitions that helped him get elected in 2016. Stephen Miller was integral to creating that entire strategy, and so he's largely the voice of how the administration is trying to recreate the same set of constituencies to reelect the president. The wall is metaphorical, but also has to be a physical thing, and the White House is going to fight tooth and nail and be able to say to its base, we went absolutely to the mat for you to build the wall, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's one thing, Rick, to be the president running for re-election. It's another thing to be a member of Congress who's trying to also run for re-election. Here's what the Washington Post points out. Republicans have been split on this issue, with some fully backing Trump, others cautioning that allowing an emergency declaration now would set a precedent for future Democratic presidents to do the same. Where does this leave Republicans? Because in this sense, for sure, let's not say that every single person who is concerned about this is concerned about it for strictly political reasons. Am I going to get reelected or not? There is this question of then what happens if we open this Pandora's box.
So let me start off with, politically speaking, what you want to do is solidify your side and divide the other side. The president has done completely the opposite. The Democrats are absolutely solidified up against this emergency action against the president, and it is the Republicans, his own party, that are split. I actually think that the president may be on firm ground on this emergency declaration, despite the fact that he pretty much gave it up, saying his motivations, there is no emergency at the border.
I just want to get it done faster.
The data doesn't support it. They don't have any data support. Every reporter went to the Department of Homeland Security to get data to buffer the president's argument about the emergency of the law. They don't have it. But the point is, and I hate to say that Miller may be right, is the law is bad, and it's up to Congress. Congress needs to gain the power that they continue to give up. And on this emergency declaration, he may be well within. We'll see what the courts say. But I don't want it to go to the court. I want the Congress to reassert its power over $8 billion, not $3 billion abatement from Amazon. This is $8 billion real dollars that will be reallocated from ongoing projects, mostly in defense and drug interdiction, over to build a wall. The other thing that concerns me the most is,
let us step back and remember what the acting direct defense secretary said. He's still looking to see whether the wall is useful, whether it's necessary, let alone figure out where to steal that money from.
Here's the thing that's most concerning to me. In an emergency declaration, the president can bypass the normal bidding process for the contractor who will get the wall. Mm-hmm. He can award the contract himself. So this is just a little grifter alert that watch to see who gets these contracts.
There's all kinds of Democrats. They all tweeted about it. Kamala Harris did, Gillibrand, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar. It's kind of this rallying cry, Mark, for sure. But how much of this is about a rallying cry, and how much about this is about our democracy, who we are, and what the Constitution says?
Well, I think it's all of the above, and I think it's primarily the latter, because Congress has not appropriated this money. You know, even as you said, the Republicans are divided on it. This not only divides the parties, and the Republican Party in particular, divides the nation. And that is obviously the re-election. It was the election strategy for Donald Trump, and it's going to be the re-election strategy again, to run a campaign on xenophobia, racism, and what have you, for a wall that's unnecessary, for a border that does not have all of the statistics. I have these stats, I have statistics. Those things don't exist in the real world. Those aren't actual facts. And as he said, he doesn't have to do it. But this is the beginning of the 2020 campaign. He's going to run on this wall again, but it's a little different because now he can say, I have an emergency, and he can play the victim. When it goes to court, that's why he did that little singing he did. Courts will debate it back and forth. He'll probably lose, and then it'll go to Supreme Court, where he's hoping his friends will approve it. But throughout that whole process, he could pretend to be the victim. And the other catch-all is he can also use it as a distraction from the Mueller, the Southern District of New York, and the House Congressional Investigation.
Well, he simultaneously plays the victim, and he also talks about how he is the best president probably ever, has the best people probably ever. But clearly, and I think part of this emergency declaration is about he's focusing his energy on the wall. He's still got a whole bunch of key positions that are not permanently filled. Take a look at these: acting defense, acting interior, acting OMB, acting FEMA. Now, Heather Nauert withdrawing from consideration as ambassador because of it's a nanny problem. Tell us what you know about what's happening here.
Yes, Chris. Well, Heather Nauert was tapped to succeed Nikki Haley as UN ambassador more than 2 months ago, but her name was never formally advanced to the Senate as a nominee, which means that the White House would be sending over a big batch of paperwork for senators to consider ahead of a nomination hearing. That key part never happened, and a lot of people have been asking over the last month or so, why not? A bunch of other nominations, State Department nominations, did go to the Senate with all of the paperwork, and hers did not. Now it emerges that in the background check for Ms. Nauert, who was the State Department spokeswoman prior to this announced nomination, it emerged in the background check that she had what has come to be known in Washington parlance as a nanny problem. The exact terms of which we don't know, and the nanny problem part was not in the statement that the State Department issued 2 days ago, but she's withdrawing, and now they'll have to find another nominee, and that is a key position, has been a key position for the Trump administration. Nikki Haley was certainly a force to be reckoned with in international diplomacy, and that's a big gap for them right now.
How big a problem is this? Rick, what's going on here, do you think? Is it just a nanny problem? Is it an experience problem?
It sounds like it's more, but look, she hired an illegal immigrant from Jamaica and paid her cash, and then that person apparently wasn't paying taxes. But that's not the way it's supposed to be done. You're supposed to hire somebody and make sure that they get the forms that you declare how much income that you paid them. But it's the fact that she was well, now some are saying she was legal, some are saying she's not legal, but it seems like it's more than that. I think that could, in most circumstances, that could be overcome.
Yeah, isn't this something that you look at before you decide to put somebody's name out there?
You might also look at it before you run for president, because he has problems with people who work for him. And it's really a double standard. You know, if I were her, I'd say, wait a minute, I didn't do anything any worse than what Trump did in Mar-a-Lago. But it probably is a bigger problem, you know, and I think it's going to continue to be a problem, because what quality or what caliber of people are going to go and want to work in administration when normally, this is what, 2019?
There wasn't a take on this that she didn't want the position in the first place, it's been reported, but nobody else wanted it either, right. So they convinced her to go ahead and put her name in.
Yeah,
that's the point.
I think that's true. And then when you take the staffing issue and you compound it with almost no legislative achievements, we have the one tax cut, that's all he got, and no trade deals. There's one trade deal. It was the Korean trade deal. It was marginal at best, and all it did is prevent Americans from buying Korean pickup trucks. And that was it. There's no NAFTA redo. There's no China happened so far. I mean, that's all we got.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.